Good afternoon everyone. I am Saroj Kanto Das from Department of Civil Engineering, Bose Kotak. And in the last lecture, we were discussing about the design of masonry walls. And in today's lecture, we will cover the design of masonry columns. So before going to that columns, we should know what is a design. So design means to plan or to make drawings of the structures which are not yet constructed. So in this column part, in the design we will specify the dimension of the columns. As it is a unreinforced member, only we have to specify the dimension and no reinforcement will be provided in this design. So in this lecture, so we should know what is a column. So see here, column, it is an isolated vertical load bearing member width of which does not exceed 4 times the thickness. That means its width should not exceed 4 times the thickness, and it can take lesser unit of load than a wall. So in masonry structures, we generally design the load bearing walls, and the maximum load is taken by the walls and the minimum load is taken by the columns, as these are the leg of a structure. So the lateral loads are often neglected and the loads are mainly axial. It means the load subjected to a column is mainly vertical loads. That means the gravity loads and its self weight. So see here what are the design loads. The loads to be taken into consideration for the design of masonry walls are, the number one is gravity loads. It is the vertical loads. So the loads coming under gravity loads are dead loads, that means it's a self weight, live loads, that means the load coming on the structure, then the lateral loads. So these are the non-significant loads, lateral loads. The number one is wind load, that is load coming due to wind pressure, and the earthquake load, that means the load arising due to seismic accelerations. So what are the codal provisions we require for the design of masonry columns? So now the number one is effective height of column. So it shall be taken as the actual height or the clear height between the supports for the direction it is laterally supported, and twice of the actual height for the direction it is not laterally supported. If there is lateral support, then we have to take the effective height as the clear height, and if there is no lateral support, we have to take the effective height as twice of clear height. And the effective thickness, so these masonry columns are generally solid columns, no hollow columns are built in masonry structures. So for this effective thickness, the effective thickness is the actual thickness, that means whatever the section is specified, that thickness will be taken as the effective thickness. And the slenderness ratio for the column, the slenderness ratio shall be taken to be the greater of the ratios of effective heights to the respective effective thickness in two principal directions. So we should know what are two principal directions. If this is a rectangular column, it will have two principal directions, that means x and y. So we have to calculate the slenderness ratio with respect to both the principal axes, and the maximum of those slenderness ratios will be the slenderness ratio of the column. And the for load bearing column, this slenderness ratio should not exceed 12. So this is the codal provision for calculation of the effective height of the wall, or that will be calculated for the column. So what are the conditions of support? The number one is full restraint at the top, the number two is partial restraint at the top. So depending upon these conditions of support, we have to calculate the effective height. So let us see the direction. So the direction with respect to plane of the wall. So just see here. So if this is a masonry wall, for the direction perpendicular to the plane of wall, that means this direction will be perpendicular to the plane of the wall. So in this case the effective height will be 0.75 times h plus 0.25 times h1, and here h is the clear height and h1 is the height of the door opening, and for the direction parallel to the plane of the wall, the effective height is taken to be h. That means this direction will be parallel to the direction of wall, both are parallel to each other, and in this case this h will be taken as the effective height h. In the second case, for the direction perpendicular to the plane of the wall, when the height of openings is less than or equal to 0.5 h, it will be taken as h, and when it is more than 0.5 h, it will be taken as twice of h. And for the direction plane to the parallel to the plane of the wall, it will be taken as twice of the h. That means this case, but there is separate condition of support. So what are the permissible stresses for the design of masonry walls? The permissible stresses, that is permissible compressive stress Fc, and how to calculate it? That the Fc is calculated based on the value of the basic compressive stress Fb, and Fb is the basic compressive stress of the masonry unit depending upon the masonry class and depending upon the mortar grade. So what other criteria are to be taken? That the eccentricity of loading, slenderness ratio, cross sectional area and shape of the masonry units. So the permissible compressive stress, that is Fc, to be calculated by multiplying this basic compressive stress with these factors. These factors are called Ks, which is called stress reduction factor, and Ka, which is called area reduction factor, and Kp, which is known as shape modification factor. And we will know how to calculate these factors from the codal provision. So how to calculate basic compressive stresses for masonry? So see here, in this column, whatever it is visible to you in the television screen, these are the mortar grades: H1, H2, M1, M2, M3 and L1, L2. These are high, medium and low grade of mortar. So these are the masonry units crossing strength. These are the crossing strength of the masonry units after 28 days in Newton per millimeter square. So 3.5, 5.0, 7.5, 10, etc. And these crossing strengths are of those masonry units whose height to width ratio does not exceed 0.75. So see here, what is height to width ratio? So if this is a brick, let it is a traditional brick of dimension 22.4 and width 11.4 and height 7. So in the previous stages, people used to use these traditional bricks for masonry walls. So height to width ratio will be around 0.61, which is less than this 0.75. So whatever masonry units are used for design of masonry structures here are of this grade. That means height to width ratio will not exceed 0.75. So stress reduction factor, the stress reduction factor will be calculated from table 9 of IS 1905 1987. So you have to follow your table 9 from the IS code, and in this direction the slenderness ratios are there, and in this direction eccentricities are there. So this is for zero eccentricities, that means the load is purely axial, and here is the slenderness ratio. So based upon the slenderness ratio and eccentricities, we have to calculate this stress reduction factor, and for any intermediate values we have to use linear interpolation. So the area reduction factor, so this area reduction factor will be applied when the cross sectional area of the column is less than 0.2 meter square. So see here, if the cross-sectional area of the element is less than 0.2 meter square, we have to apply this area reduction factor, which is 0.7 plus 1.5 times A, where A is the area of the section in meter square, and shape modification factor Kp. This factor takes into consideration the shape of the units and is applicable for units of crossing strength up to 15 Newton per millimeter square. If the height to width ratio of the masonry is more than 0.75, the basic compressive strength is further modified by the shape modification factor. So this is the table 10 of your IS 1905, which is used to calculate the shape modification factor. So these are the height to width ratios. So this is the up to 0.75. So for 0.75, the shape modification factors are 1, and for the greater values we have to multiply these shape modification factors. So we will solve a numerical, and in this design of masonry walls, no such load factors are there to be multiplied in the load. So what the problem says, design a brick masonry column to carry an axial compressive load of 150 kilonewton at its base. So at the base level, the load is 150 kilonewton. Take effective height of the column as 3.3 meter. Assume any data necessary. So you can assume any necessary data, and the effective height is given as 3.3 meter. So how to solve it? So it has been given already, the effective height of the column, also the load has been given. Now we have to specify the dimension of the column, and some checks are there. So in the step 1, we have to calculate the basic compressive stress from table 8. So how to calculate this basic compressive stress? Already load is given as 150 kilonewton, and now we have to assume the grade of motor, and the grade of motor M1 we assumed here to solve this, and the cement motor for grade M1, the ratios are 1:5. You can see from table 1 of IS 1905 1987, and the masonry of class designation 10. So class designation 10 means the crossing strength of the masonry unit is 10 Newton per millimeter square. So the average compressive strength will not fall below that 10. So the basic compressive strength FB, so from table 8, so see here from table 8, we have considered M1 grade motor, and we have considered the masonry unit crossing strength as 10. So for 10 and M1, the basic compressive strength comes 0.96. So that is what it has been written there, see. So the basic compressive strength FB is 0.96 Newton per millimeter square, calculated from table 8 of the IS code. So what is the area required? A is load upon the basic compressive strength. Load has been given 150 kilonewton. 150 divided by 0.96, and it is coming around 156252 millimeter square. So now we have to specify the dimension. So the approximate area of the column, that is whatever area required, we have to find out the root over of that. So the approximate area of the column is root over of this 156252. It is coming around 395 point something. So let us provide a square column of size 400 millimeter into 400 millimeter, giving sectional area 160000 millimeter square, and we need 156272, and we have provided 160000, which is greater than the area required. So this dimension is safe. So in step 2, the slenderness ratio and the stress reduction factors are to be calculated. So the effective height is already given 3.3 meter, and the effective width is T equals to 0.4 meter, and it has been given in the code that for solid columns this T will be taken as the thickness, and the minimum value of stiffening coefficient Kn equals to 1, and the slenderness ratio, how to calculate? H by T into Kn. So H is 3.3 here and T is 0.4 and Kn is 1. So H by T, that means 3.3 by Kn, T into Kn. So T is 0.4 into Kn is 1. So this formula is H by T into Kn. Okay, so write down this formula, H by T into Kn. So it is coming around 8.25. So how to calculate this stress reduction factor from this value of slenderness ratio? So we have assumed here the eccentricity to be 0, but in practical there is no such columns in which the loads are purely axial, that means 0 eccentricity. So see here, our slenderness ratio is 8.25 and this is 8 and 10. So for 0 eccentricity it is 0.95 and 0.89. So in between 0.95 and 0.89 we have to use linear interpolation. So using that linear interpolation, that stress reduction factor is calculated at 0.943. Okay, so from linear interpolation from table 8 I have calculated this. So in the step 3 we have to multiply an area reduction factor as the calculated area is less than 0.2 meter square. So area is here 0.4 into 0.4, it is coming 0.16 meter square, which is less than 0.2 meter square. As it is less than 0.2, we have to apply this area reduction factor 0.7 plus 1.5 times A. So this is 0.7 plus 1.5 into 0.16, which is coming 0.94, and this has been calculated from clause 5.4.1.2 of the IS code. So another shape modification factor is also there. So we have assumed here modular bricks, that means 20 into 10 into 10. But when the code was developed, there were no such modular bricks. People used to use traditional bricks of 22.4 into 11.4 into 7. But nowadays we are using modular bricks. So these modular bricks have width to height to width ratio of units is 10 by 10, 1. So this is width, this is height. So height by width is coming 1. So for units of crossing strength 10, shape modification factor is calculated from table 10. See here. So for table 10, from table 10 and for crossing strength 10, this is height to width ratio 1 and the shape modification factor is 1.1. Okay. So taking that value of 1.1, now we have to calculate the permissible compressive stress Fc, and the Fc is calculated as Fb into Fc, Fb into Ks into Ka into Kp. So Fb is 0.96, Ks is 0.943, Ka is 0.94 and Kp is 1.1, and the permissible compressive stress is calculated as 0.936 Newton per millimeter square. So whenever you are calculating, so you have to take care of the units. There should not be any mistake due to the units. So the load carrying capacity, how to calculate this load carrying capacity? That the load carrying capacity is the cross sectional area. That means whatever dimension we specified, so from that cross sectional area multiplied by this Fc, that is permissible compressive stress. So the cross sectional area multiplied by permissible compressive stress, it is coming the load carrying capacity. So the load carrying capacity is around 150. It is coming, the exact value is 149.76 kilonewton. So it is almost equal to 150 kilonewton. So because these masonry designs are based on the thumb rules, no such design methods are there. So these are based upon the thumb rules and the answer is almost correct, which is approximately equal to 150 kilonewton. Hence our design is okay. So let us provide a brick masonry column of size 400 millimeter into 400 millimeter. That means 400 millimeter. That means this column has B and D as 400 millimeter and 400 millimeter. And we have to use cement mortar of grade M1, in which cement to sand ratio is 1:5. So it has been mentioned in table 1 of IS 1905 that for M1 grade the cement mortar cement to sand ratio is 1:5, using bricks of average compressive strength 10 Newton per millimeter square. So whatever bricks we are considering here as masonry units, that should not be have crossing strength less than this 10 Newton per millimeter square. So with this the design of masonry column is completed, and in the next lecture we will design the masonry piers and masonry footings. So I think everything is understandable. So if you have any query, so you can text me through WhatsApp, as it is a one-way communication. This is my WhatsApp number, and also I have mentioned my email ID. So you can text me through WhatsApp or you can email me too. Thank you.
झीटीए तो माटी आम सामाजिक और पारिवारिक जीवनर मूल कथाटी से माने आगकू गले आगकू जीव संसार आम झील मैंने आ पुओंकठू पछरे नाहांती एबे तो बदली गलानी समय बदली गलानी जुग से झील माननकू आहुरी आगकू नहीं आत्मनिर्भरशील और स्वावलंबी करने ओडिशा सरकार सुदक्षा योजन सरकारी आईटीआई माध्यम संपूर्ण मागणार जोगई देउछंती सबु प्रकार उत्कृष्ट मानर वैषयिक ज्ञान कौशलर तालीम। एबे आम झील रहिबे सबुठू आगरे सबुठू उपरे।
मु सफल मु कुशली मु सुदक्षा।